Hi there YouTube. I'm using this audio source today as a backup because where I'm headed is very noisy with the water. You can see the dam there. Now the side of the river that I'm on today, I've not actually been on this side before. Been on the other side many times, but this side I've not explored before. It's a bit precarious, very steep, and there's a lot of wet leaves and loose ground around, so I'm gonna have to be careful. I don't want to end up with a twisted ankle or a broken leg down here, because nobody would hear you because of the noise of that thing. There's a lot of nice trees over this side of the water, so hopefully I'll find something nice to photograph. We shall see. Okay, so my first composition for this shoot is this amazing looking, what I think is an oak tree, but I don't really know much about trees. All I know is it's made of wood and it's growing out of the ground. Now, as you can see from the sun over there, it's being beautifully side lit. I don't have any sky to worry about because the opposite side of the valley is quite high, quite steep. So I'm at f11 as usual. It's gone a bit dark now, the sun's gone in. There we go. Yeah, so I'm at f11. ISO 50. Just making sure all my autofocus and image stabilization is off. I've got a polarizer on, which kind of enhances the color of the leaves on the woodland floor and the green moss on the tree. Two-second timer. There we go. So let me just talk you through the composition here. So we've got these green moss covered rocks in the foreground. Lots of red leaves on the forest floor. Then we've got the tree, and that's pretty much it. It's a portrait mode photograph. There's the tree, and as you can see, it's got all those sort of gnarly looking lumps of growths on it. So yeah, it's quite beautiful. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch the camera to landscape orientation and just see if we can improve on the composition or not by doing that. Okay, so I just want to talk briefly about something that I wouldn't say has been bothering me, but slightly concerns me lately with a lot of landscape photography videos that I've watched on YouTube. Now, before we go any further, I'm not suggesting that I'm any kind of authority or that my photography is any better than anybody else's or anything like that. So, you know, that's not what I'm trying to do here. But whenever I take a photograph of anything out and about doing landscape photography, my first and foremost concern, or my first and foremost intention when I take the photograph, is to try and invoke the same emotional response or feeling that I get when I first see what I think would be a good image. So when I first see a scene and I think, yes, that would make a really good photograph, that's because you know, it's invoked something in me that wants to get the camera out and photograph it. And I think that's missing in a lot of vlogs about photography these days. People put an awful lot of emphasis on the importance of composition and where all the lines go, where all the diagonals should lead and all the rest of it, and the shapes and the form. And I'm not trying to diminish the importance of that in any way. It is important that you work on composing your photographs properly. But if the resulting image just leaves you flat and you just look at it and it looks like, I don't know, like a postcard, or just, you know, it doesn't really invoke any kind of emotional response to it, then what is the point of it? So that is what I try and do with my photographs. Now, again, I'm not suggesting that I'm in any way achieving that yet. That's for the viewer to decide, not me. But that is my intent, and I think that should be the overriding intent of any photograph is to invoke. Let me rephrase that. That should be the intent of any photograph that is for an artistic purpose. You know, if you're taking a product photograph or something like that because you've been commissioned to do it, then you know that's a different brief altogether. But when you're doing this, by and large, it's an art form, and you're trying to invoke an emotional response. Like, for instance, when you look at a painting. Some paintings, they just jump off the wall at you and you're just drawn in, and it invokes something. Others, you just walk straight past and don't even notice it. So that should be your overriding, most important goal when you're doing landscape photography, is to invoke some form of emotional response to your photograph. Okay, so I've spotted an image here that has given me that emotional response that I was just talking about. But it's not an easy image to take, and I'll show you why in a moment. I'm just going to grab another shot because the light's changing and looking pretty good at the moment. It's been softened by a cloud, which is kind of what I wanted. I'm just going to take another one. So I've got 2 or 3 in the bag while I talk to you about this image. Just one more. Okay, so I've got 3 shots of that now in the kind of light that I want. Okay, so we've got this huge oak tree. I think it's an oak tree. Actually, no, it's not. It's not an oak tree at all, is it? I don't know what kind of tree it is. It's just big. It's a big tree. And it's got this bough sort of coming from the base of the trunk that sweeps all the way over towards the river. A really thick bough. And what it does, it kind of acts as a kind of an archway through the wood with the green mossy rocks on the floor that lead through into some really interesting looking trees in the background. Okay, so what I want to show you is just my composition here. What I'll do, I'll make it brighter so that you can see it better on the back of the screen. So this is the huge tree. There's the bough going across the frame there. These are the rocks that lead through. Now what I'm going to do, because we've got a really bright area here, that's where the sun is. So I'm going to crop the image around about there so that we've got a more square looking image, and it leads you through into these trees through the scene there. So that's basically what I'm looking at. Let me see if I can zoom in. So that will effectively be my image, that kind of area there. So I'll just talk to you about my settings for this shot. So ISO. So because we've got this very bright area in the top right of the frame, my meter on my camera is telling me that I need to expose this shot accurately, as otherwise, because I normally underexpose, but the part of the image on the left of the frame that's in shadow will be too dark. So yeah, so that's ISO 50, f11 and 1.3 of a second. There we go. We got a polarizer on as well to just kind of give the colours a bit more juice, if you like. But there's a few clouds that have come over now, so the light's softening nicely now. So now that we've got that one in the bag, let's see what else we can find. One of the wonderful things about photographing woodland is that it doesn't have to be just all about the trees. You should keep your eye on the woodland floor, because occasionally you spot something quite amazing, and that's exactly what I've done here. So as I'm walking through, I've seen what looks like a piece of bark there on the floor, and there's some beautiful mosses and particularly some really nice sort of mushroom like fungus growing on it, and beautifully side lit by the sun, as you can see. So what I'm doing here is I'm focusing on the actual mushroom bits, as you can see. I'm at f18 because I want the whole thing sharp. I don't want any fall off at all. And there you go, you can see that I'm focused right in on the mushroom bits. And there we go. And what I'll do is I'll crop the image so that you just get the most interesting part of the fungus. Now what I tried to do was put the 70 to 300 on and zoom in more, but unfortunately I was too close to get it to focus. Now I could try it from a different angle, raise the tripod up and try a few different things, but I don't know if it's going to work. I won't get the same composition if I move where the camera is at the moment. So what I've done is I've moved the tripod back only about a foot. I've put the 70 to 300 on and I'm zoomed in to, let's just have a look. Yeah, I'm zoomed into 200 mil now. And if I zoom into my so now this lens will focus. It's far enough away now to focus, and I can get a really close in shot. Now because we're on leaves and soft soil, and because everything's a bit precarious at the moment, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to put the 10-second timer on so that when I hit the shutter, everything's got time to settle down and be perfectly still, so that this shot can be beautifully sharp, and we don't have any, you know, camera blur or anything like that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. Now I think that is going to be a better image than the other one I took with the 24 to 70 lens, because we're closer in, we're tighter in, and we've got more of the detail in the frame that we actually want. So yeah, it's a good tip. When you're walking around the woods, keep your eye on the woodland floor. There's some really nice features that you can see. One of the handiest tools that you can have for woodland photography is a long zoom lens. So anything like a 70 to 200, or if you've got a 70 to 300, can be a brilliant tool. What you can do, you can zoom into sort of little vignettes of scenes, sometimes in the tree canopy, or just small areas of the scene that you might not be able to get with a much wider lens, and sort of home in on it and compose different compositions that look a bit different to the usual sort of wide angle shots. And I found such a little vignette of a scene here, so I'm going to photograph it. I've left the 10-second timer on, haven't I? Which is not necessary. Anyway, there we go. I'm just going to zoom in, check that everything's nice and sharp, and it is. I'll take another shot because the light's changing. It's softened slightly. Oh, I've done the 10-second timer again, haven't I? Oh, I need to change that. That's annoying. Right, just give me a minute. I'm going to change this. So I'm going to go into my settings on the back of the screen here. Change it to the 2-second timer. I just need to make sure, yes, autofocus and image stabilization needs to be off. So let's just do that again. I'm going to just underexpose it a little bit more so I can get a little bit more contrast. And there we go. So I've got no polarizer, nothing like that. I've got a lens hood on to stop the glare of the sun coming from over there. Yeah. Hopefully that's going to make a good shot. Right, I'm going to end the video there. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video and the photographs. As always, please leave a comment. If you haven't done already, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you get notified of when I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one.